scale is a liar. My scale keeps fat me. My scale, she's not telling the truth. She's always lying. I stood on my scale and she says, you need an operation. Overload. Overload! I'll show you overload, lady.
He just broke the internet. So let's talk about Nick Avocado, the man who became the internet's most infamous mukbanger, gaining millions of subscribers by eating colossal amounts of food and documenting his spiral into what seemed like self-destruction. But if I told you that while Nick was busy stuffing his face on camera, he was hiding a massive secret, one that would shock his 8 million followers and pretty much everyone else who's ever stumbled upon one of his chaotic videos?
2 steps ahead. I am always 2 steps ahead.
That's right. The Nick Avocado you think you know isn't the full story. This man, who became the poster child for the dangers of extreme eating, secretly shed a jaw-dropping 250 pounds. And no one knew.
People. People are the most messed up creatures on the entire planet. And yet I've still managed to stay 2 steps ahead of everyone.
Before we get into the juicy details of this weight loss bombshell, let's rewind a bit. Nick Avocado, or Nikocado Avocado, wasn't always the larger-than-life character you see today. Believe it or not, Nick started his YouTube journey as a skinny vegan, playing the violin and sharing his plant-based lifestyle with a small but dedicated audience. His early content was all about health and wellness. Hard to believe when you look at where he ended up, but then came the mukbang era. For those of you who don't know, mukbang is a trend that started in South Korea where people eat enormous amounts of food on camera while interacting with their audience. Nick saw this trend and, like a moth to a flame, dove right in, and it worked. Big time. The views started rolling in, and so did the calories. Over time, Nick's videos went from light-hearted feasts to what can only be described as train wrecks you couldn't look away from. He'd cry, scream, and basically fall apart in front of the camera, all while consuming mountains of fast food. And the more outrageous he became, the more people watched. Nick's transformation from a slender vegan to a 300-plus pound mukbanger was both shocking and strangely fascinating. His weight gain became part of his brand, something he leaned into for content. Nick wasn't just eating food, he was consuming his way to infamy. His audience watched as he struggled with health issues, strained relationships, and what seemed like a never-ending cycle of binge eating and emotional breakdowns. The more unhealthy he became, the more people tuned in. It was like watching a slow-motion car crash. Horrifying, but you just couldn't look away. But here's the thing. While Nick was piling on the pounds in front of the camera, he was secretly working on losing them behind the scenes. Yup, the same guy who made his fortune from gluttony and chaos was quietly getting his act together when the camera wasn't rolling. And he kept it a secret from everyone. Now, how does someone go from being one of the most notorious overeaters on the internet to losing 250 pounds without anyone noticing? That's the million-dollar question. According to sources close to Nick, he developed a strict regimen that he followed religiously, when the camera was off, of course. We're talking about a complete 180 from his mukbang persona. Nick reportedly hired a personal trainer, nutritionist, and even had a therapist to help him deal with the physical and emotional toil that his online persona had taken on him. While he was filming his over-the-top eating videos, he was also hitting the gym, counting his calories, and making serious lifestyle changes. The real Nick was on a mission to take back control of his life, something that was completely at odds with the character he played online. Nick didn't just keep his weight loss journey a secret, he actively worked to hide it. He'd film his mukbangs in bulk, wearing oversized clothing to mask the weight he was losing. He'd pre-record content and strategically release it to give the illusion that nothing was changing. And it worked. His audience had no clue that while they were watching him spiral out of control, he was actually on the path to recovery. So why keep it a secret? Why not just come clean and share his transformation with his millions of followers? Well, the answer's as complex as Nick himself. For starters, his entire brand was built on being the unhealthy, unhinged mukbanger. Revealing that he was actually losing weight and getting his life together might have been seen as a betrayal by his audience. There's also the fact that drama and chaos were what kept people coming back for more. A happy, healthy Nick Avocado just didn't fit the narrative he'd created. But eventually, the truth had to come out. After months of speculation and rumors, Nick finally addressed his weight loss in a candid video. He opened up about the struggles he'd faced, both on and off camera, and explained why he kept his transformation under wraps for so long. He talked about how the pressure to keep up his mukbang persona had taken a toll on his mental health and how he needed to make a change for the sake of his own well-being. As you can imagine, the internet went wild. Some fans were supportive, praising Nick for taking control of his health and making positive changes. Others felt betrayed, accusing him of lying to his audience and profiting off his self-destruction. The reaction was a mixed bag, but one thing was clear. Nick Avocado had once again managed to shock the world. Today, Nick Avocado is still a polarizing figure on the internet. Some people love him. Others love to hate him. But no one can deny that he knows how to keep people talking. His 250-pound weight loss was a game changer, not just for him personally, but for his entire online persona. It showed that there was more to Nick than the guy who cried over a plate of fries or screamed at his husband in a fit of food-fueled rage. Beneath all the drama and excess, there was someone who was struggling to find balance in a world that rewarded his worst impulses. So what's next for Nick Avocado? That's anyone's guess. Maybe he'll continue down this path of self-improvement, or maybe he'll find another way to shock the internet. Whatever he does, you can bet that people will be watching. Love him or hate him, Nick Avocado has mastered the art of keeping people talking, and his 250-pound weight loss is just the latest chapter in a story that's far from over. So next time you find yourself watching one of Nick's videos, take a moment to think about what you're really seeing. Is it entertainment? Or is it exploitation? And more importantly, is it worth it? Because while Nick Avocado might be breaking the internet, he's also breaking the very thing that made him famous in the first place, himself. And that's the real tragedy.
Surprise, motherfucker.